Okay, it's like 21 days or 20 days to the inauguration of the new president in Nigeria, President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But we've listened to Bola Ahmed Tinubu, make some comments in recent times. Many of them very tough comments, and he has actually said that his government will make some tough decisions. One of them was actually made during his inauguration of some projects in River State, Port Harcourt to be specific. But we want to look at, want to rationalize those comments from Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Some people have actually said that they are easier said than done, that they are not going to be easily, practiced by Tinubu. But we also know that a whole lot of issues are bringing on. If you look at the papers this morning, there's the issue of who becomes the next Senate president, who becomes the next House of Reps speaker. These are mind-boggling issues for APC. But this morning, we have someone in the studios who should know, how to rationalize Tinubu's tough comments, and that's the Special Advisor on Media and Public Communication to the State Governor, Right Honorable Remy Azar. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you again. Thank you so much for joining us. Are you worried? Let's look at Davis first and foremost. Southeast caucus kicks against Akpabio, demands seat. Aspirants set for showdown over Abbas. Southeast telling Tinubu to ensure the country continues to thrive on part of equity, unity, fairness, and all of that. Are you worried as an APC icon that all of these are happening now?
The truth of the matter, once again, morning to viewers out there, and thanks for having me. The truth of the matter is that religious and ethnic balancing is part of our body politic, and we can't run away from it. However, no ethnic nationality should exert superiority over another. The South-South geopolitical zone is as important in the Nigerian political project as the Southeast. And if the party feels that a particular geopolitical zone should have one position or the other, there are inner thinkings of the party that will have alluded to that. But it then doesn't mean that any geopolitical zone is going to be left with nothing. And that's why marginalization is not necessarily that anybody has nothing. It means that you have something, but you want more than what you have. If you don't get what you want now, just have what you have gotten, and please believe that as the political process continues, you can also play the politics to get more than you already have.
Now, if should I say, Tinubu and those who have actually made him a star, because I've also read that Akpabio becoming the next Senate President is a done deal, and Abbas becoming House of Reps Speaker is a done deal. You don't think if this goes ahead to be, there won't be some rocking of boat for Tinubu when he's eventually inaugurated on May 29?
There is no agitation that does not carry a face. What is the face of those agitation? And when those faces are identified, a lot of I's will be dotted and T's will be crossed. And I can assure you that the whole thing will just gain some bit of silence over time. It's normal for the noise to be heightened at this point, because sometimes agitators believe that the louder you can shout, the more you get from the process. And so onlookers should not join in making the noise a lot louder, because when those faces are identified and some other measures are taken to assuage whatever it is that bothers them, then you will see that the whole process is one big happy family coming together again.
Okay, now let's look at what actually brought you here. Tinubu's tough comments. Now, what will you say have actually made Tinubu to be this audacious? He said some things. He's spoken about fuel subsidy removal. Some people felt that he shouldn't have said that. Some people also felt that he shouldn't have answered Wike the way he answered Wike in Port Harcourt when Wike said he would demand money from the roads, federal government roads is constructed, and all that. Do you think that it's because Tinubu of the old stock, somebody who probably learned, at the feet of MKO and the rest of them, or maybe he had a few lessons from Awolowo too? Probably you think those are the things that are informing his tough stance, and he's not really also afraid of saying so even before his inauguration.
Now, talking tough and acting tough and taking tough decisions are an essential part of a government that seeks to depart from the old order. There are some things that we call norm within governance organogram, which is like, that's how we used to do it. But if you do something the same way and you expect to get a different result, then you're a non-starter, as it were. So if Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu believes that some things need to change, then talking tough, acting tough, and taking tough decisions cannot be divorced from the kind of presidency he will run. However, toughness carries three critical elements, which a leader must put in proper perspective. It's not just about you acting tough or talking tough. It is about you understanding exactly what you intend to gain out of that. Now, your toughness must carry clarity. What exactly is this toughness all about? Why do we want to remove fuel subsidy, for example? Are the people in the know of the reasons behind it? Because if it is not clear, even those who are going to be the beneficiary may be the first to oppose the same thing. And you can't take stakeholders out of a government proposal or policy that seeks to benefit them, which means stakeholders' engagement must happen before the decision is taken. So clarity must come with toughness. Then you also have the issue of context. Now, removal of subsidy, for example, must be put in context. I'm just giving an instance.
Yes.
That does not mean that that's exactly what he has decided to do. It must be put in the context of what is the overall interest of both the people and the nation in terms of this. Is it just because some people believe that subsidy is a scam and that there are people within government who are just feeding fat on subsidy. Now, if you are now going to remove subsidy, such line of thinkers will feel that, yes, at last, you have removed these kind of scammers from the system. But there are those who believe that if fuel price should go up, every other indices of good living will be affected in terms of cost. So you just must put things in context so that they will have an understanding of what exactly you are trying to do. Then you make some choice. Now, when you have two conflicting tough decisions to be made, and taking the two at a time may rock the boat. You decide which one benefits the people the most, which one stabilizes government the most. And you take that one and allow it to stabilize before you move to the next one. So it is about understanding exactly what the import of every tough decision is all about before proceeding with it. And I think Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu has all that it takes to see through the entire governance structure and be able to make his choice, put things in context, and of course be clear about what he's doing. For a man who governed Lagos for 8 years and was able to put in place an auto-driven structure that makes it easier for whoever becomes the governor of that state to run easily and achieve, except of course where there is need to achieve a lot more. There is already a template that is helping governors in that state to run. If such a man now wants to replicate that same line of governance approach at the national level, I think some tough decisions just have to be made. And if he's talking tough, acting tough, and ready to take tough decisions, we should just believe that he will be clear, he will put things in context, and he will make his choice.
Now, I mean, I'm glad you brought Lagos into this. Lagos was governing Lagos for 8 years, and he also, should we say, succeeded in, installing three governors. Now, some people also say Lagos is not Nigeria. Lagos is like a macrocosm of Nigeria, but it's too small to be compared to Nigeria. Maybe they are talking about the complexities of the country that they could overwhelm Tinubu, despite his tough stance on issues.
Whoever understands Lagos will know that, like you rightly said, a macrocosm of what this nation is. I don't know of any ethnic nationality in this country that is not represented in Lagos. And some are represented to the point where they even have elected officials at both the local and national level. That tells you that Lagos has evolved over time. And for Lagos to move from nowhere to the 5th largest economy in Africa, that is a statement. Now, we are the leading economy in Africa, no doubt, but we have not been able to translate that leading role into a good life for the citizenry. One of the reasons why our economy seems to have that large size is first because of our population, and next because of the volume of oil exports that we do. Now, there must be a deliberate step taken to put a structure in place that will make this size of our economy reflect in the life and livelihood of the citizens. And I believe strongly that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu possesses what it takes to do that. And that's why certain tough decisions has to be taken. And it takes a leader who understands. Don't just go and do some semblance of bravado just to be seen as tough, but have an understanding of where you're heading with the decision. And I believe strongly that this man, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, knows exactly where he's headed. And in going that way, he has to be very tough, because some of the decisions might affect political associates. Some of such decisions might affect business associates. Some of such decisions might affect family members. And audacity is for you to ensure that it doesn't matter whose ox is God, as long as it benefits the people. But let all those people who will be affected be put in the know of what is to come, so that if some of them need to diversify, they can quickly do so, because in the final analysis, it is for the greater good of a greater number.
What if some of those decisions by Tinubu, when it comes to power, affect region and affect religion? Region and religion, two of the most volatile elements in Nigeria.
Now, ethno-religious sentiment, like I mentioned earlier, has been part of our body politic. And any leader in Nigeria who wants to escape a perception of being a bigot, either on ethnic terms or on religious terms, must sufficiently engage stakeholders in taking decisions, which was one of the things that I mentioned about clarity and context. At the level of context is when you put stakeholders in the know of what is to come, so that body language will not be what you use to communicate with the people. It must be expressly stated, and people reassured that their thinking is not what it is, but exactly what you have in mind, and let them know how you want to journey towards that point. So ethno-religious sentiment will come and be raised as issues. It is for the government to have a structure that communicates well with all stakeholders in a way that those fears will be addressed.
What about institutions and establishments? Let me give you a very good example. To acquire a Nigerian passport now, you know, you have to sweat. You even have to pay as much as over 100,000 naira, you know, to acquire a Nigerian passport. You may not even be able to get it in the state where you reside. Now, those are the kind of albatross that Tinubu will face in office. There are some established interests, you know, that have been there. I mean, but again, a few of them have been simplified by Buhari. For instance, the issue of electricity has been, deregulated now. Yeah. States can actually then railway and all of that. Now, how does it face institutions? We also understand that it's likely to look at the Onsai report and unbundle the Federal Civil Service. Now, these are big steps to step on.
The truth of the matter is that we are not in any way bereft of policies in this nation, but we have actually been challenged with very deliberate and purposeful implementation. The Osai report that you mentioned, for example, has been gathering dust since it was made. I don't even have an idea of what this administration has done about it. Whether it has been partly implemented or fully implemented, we haven't seen any reflection of that. Every institution has its own peculiarity. And you can't have a one-size-fits-all policy that will address the peculiarity of an institution. The immigration matter that you mentioned, for example, passport issuance is just one of their functions. And that seems to be the one that affects most Nigerians because of the sheer size of our population. The demand for our passport is quite high. And on the strength of that, you see that at every passport office, there is a crowd of Nigerians wanting to acquire the Nigerian passport. I see an Asiwaju administration that will look particularly at that organization and see what can be done to address it. I don't know how true it is, but I'm aware that someone said that our passport is not even printed in Nigeria, and that is outsourced to a Malaysian firm. What is wrong if we have people producing the passport within this country and remove the logistics of international importation of the document in such a way that at any time you get to any passport office, there are booklets available? That will be a tough decision, for example, to be taken. And if it is going to be in the interest of the Nigerian people, why not if not? So the peculiarity of every agency will determine the approach and the nature of the toughness of the decision that will go to address the issue in that agency.
That's what we're closing now. I'd like you to actually wrap this up by telling Nigerians the kind of presidency we're going to have in the next 4 years at least, given the complexities of this country and given all that we have faced in the last 16 years.
I see a presidency where every Nigerian will see the president as his or her president. I see a presidency that addresses the issue of marginalization far better than every previous administration. I see a presidency that opens the door for even those Nigerians who have, for whatever reason, left this country because of greener pasture, returning because it's now better on this side than they left it. I see a presidency where at the end of this first tenure, an Asiwaju will be clamored on to go again and continue the good work that he has started, because this is a man that has seen it all. And the only thing he can do to better his legacy is to succeed as the next president of Nigeria. Anything short of that will not in any way add value to the good name he already has.
We must thank you so much for coming on this program. Short, but straight one from Right Honorable Remi Azan, Special Advisor to the State Governor on Media and the Public Communication. We must thank you so much for coming, and we hope to see you more, ask questions from you more as we look forward to the inauguration on May 29. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, it's great to have you watch this program this morning. We thank you so much. And on behalf of my colleague, Simiat Abaru, we thank you so much for watching us. So come back next Monday. Don't forget that the program continues tomorrow, the Yoruba version or Tonjo, again from 7:30 in the morning. Have a great Monday. Bye for now.